Meeting, I had to really rush, and I just have, I think, now 20 minutes in my hand. The organizers will excuse me. I have to really rush, and then say whatever I can, and then after that, maybe I give my email and my phone number, and the organizers can share with you. And then any queries with regards to my presentation, I am willing to take after that because I have to rush to the meeting. My topic today is organic farming in Nagaland, at the challenges and the strategies. Actually, because opportunities and the potential, we already know a lot about it. So we're not going to talk about this today. It's just the challenges and the strategies. But just to give you a gist about what is organic farming, I believe all of you are well aware about organic farming, but maybe some students, because I see a lot of young boys and girls. So because of that, I just thought a few points on this organic farming. So IFOM, which is the biggest umbrella, which is the umbrella organization for the organic sector in the world, has defined organic farming as production system that sustains the health of soil, ecosystem, and the people. So the whole thing together, and so many other definitions are there, but I think we go mostly by this IFOM definition, so I just stick to that. Now, basically, organic farming came from two sets of people, two sets of farmers who had the sustainable concern and who had the market oriented, who were market oriented. So two together, put together, really came about this organic farming. When we talk about the history of organic farming, it dates back to 1924, but I will not go into any of this except that in 1939, the first time the term organic farming was used, and in the 1972, the IFOM was created, which I said just now that it is the umbrella organization of organic farming in the world. These are the pioneers. I just put some photographs here because they are the ones who really started this organic farming. They were the ones who were concerned about sustainability, and they were the one who, which we call today organic 1.0. That's the word that we use for these pioneers. So let me just tell you what are the three phases of organic farming, organic movement in the world. The first is as I said, 1.0, which is by those people, the pioneers who thought about sustainability, who were more into, like, they were visionaries. They were more, they're like a founder, and they were concerned about the sustainability. And the second phase came. The first phase was in the year, as I said, 1924 it started, and the second phase started in 1970, where people were concerned about the standards, the markets, and all that, and a lot of impact was made in the marketing sector, in the organic sector. Then finally, now the organic sector has realized the importance of further, more than the market and more than the certification and more than the standard, and that's when organic 3.0 is started. That is in the year 2015, and now we're moving towards this organic 3.0, and this is more towards true sustainability and not just about market and certification and standards. So basically, this organic 3.0 is moving towards sustainable food and farming system, and where the 6 features of organic agriculture, which is leading to true sustainability, and these are the 6 features of the true sustainability. And I think you can get it anywhere, so let me not read it out, but these are the most important holistic approach towards organic farming, taking into consideration what IFOM has defined as everything surrounding us, not just the crop, not just the soil, but it's also about the people and everything that surrounds us. So this is just a recent publication of the IFOM, where they have given the latest data on the world scenario of organic farming. And this is how the organic sector is moving forward. 171 countries have already got an organic activities going on in the world, with 1.4% of the world share agriculture land. And then have about 93 countries are already having organic regulations. And when we come to the organic agriculture land, then of course Australia leads, but India is also having nearly 2 million hectares under organic farming. And India is having a lot of producers, the farmers who are practicing organic farming, having more than 835,000 people. And this has been done by IFOM along with the FIBL, one of the most the institution which is dealing with organic research and all that, based in Switzerland. So together they have published this latest information in this year. Now coming to India, we all know that the movement started somewhere in the year 2001, where we had these national standards and all that, and then the APEDA, as we are all aware, this is the one that exports, and it's only through APEDA accredited certifying bodies that you can certify your farms. So this is the Ministry of Commerce under the Government of India, where this APEDA, only through APEDA, the certifying bodies can certify your field, the farm. And in the year 2005, the biggest organic trade fair started, which is known as India Organic, and these were combined with the BioFact, and I think it really started off well. It was held in Bangalore, then in Delhi, in major cities, even in Kerala it was held. And now, even the World Organic Congress was also held in Delhi last year. And also this BioFact India has also started here. This BioFact happens actually in Germany, which is the biggest organic trade fair that happens in Germany, but it also takes place in other continents, and in India it has started already 2 years back, and this year also in February it was held in Delhi. So coming to other developments in India, we all know about Uttarakhand, who is I think leading in the organic sector, and then Sikkim. We are all aware about being the first state to declare completely organic by the year 2015, and of course Nagaland and Mizoram also in the year 2004. Because I'm going to talk about Nagaland, that's why let me just give us this about this 2004. We already had a plan to go organic, but there was a policy that was framed and all that, but somehow it did not work out, and so now it is in the drafting process again. So we are picking it up. So and other states like Meghalaya, which is also in the northeast, they are going big in organic sector, and other states are following too, though not as vigorous as Sikkim or Meghalaya for that matter, but they're also coming up. And lot of schemes are being announced for organic sector development in the Northeast, because Northeast is considered to be the organic hub of the country. And Government of India is looking at Northeast as the main organic hub, and that's why a lot of central and government schemes are state government schemes are available for the organic sector. Lots of NGOs, lots of companies, lots of organizations are working in the organic sector. And when I go to Nagaland specifically, I'll also be able to tell you how many different organizations are working in the organic sector in the state. So this is just a Nagaland. I mean, for our friends from outside, just I thought of telling. I say that already potentials. We've been discussing these potentials for last decades and decades about the potentials of organic farming in our state. So I'm not going to touch upon this. We all know the rich resources, our rainfall, our soil, which is rich in organic matters, and so many advantages are there which we can go organic, but somehow, because of the policies and all that, maybe we're still lagging behind, and we're going to discuss about the challenges. So now we say that Northeast and Nagaland also is considered to be organic by tradition, because traditionally we practice organic farming, and the reason being that we have lots of reasons which were earlier considered to be weakness, but now we have. I think it is turned into strength, because we didn't use chemicals, we didn't use fertilizers, we didn't use, we're not practicing so many things that high-tech agriculture and technology we were not practicing, and that has turned into advantage for us at the moment. It's just that we need to strategize certain things. So this is our traditional farming. We all know about it. Potential crops are huge, many. We have almost all crops that can be grown here in Nagaland, but then in the Northeast as well as in Nagaland. But then there are few focus crops taken up by the Agriculture and Allied departments, which we are giving more focus by the Agriculture Department, Horticulture Department, and any other departments as well. So coming to Nagaland specifically, and of course this one, the scheme that was announced, MOBCD, which is specifically for organic value chain development, which is announced by the Government of India, especially for the Northeast. And as I mentioned, that Northeast is considered to be the organic hub, and Government of India is focusing on this. That is the reason why this was announced in the year 2015-16, and the second phase of MOBCD is going on now in the state, in almost all the states of Northeast. And in Nagaland, the main department is the agriculture department, and of course partly by horticulture department they're implementing this MOVCD. So MOVCD is to develop the whole supply chain, right from the input to the seeds and everything up to marketing, hand holding it. So the Department of Agriculture and Horticulture is implementing it. So as I said, agriculture department they are into the second phase. The first phase is over, and by 2015 they were supposed to 2019 full certification. They've already got a certificate, and I believe they are into the marketing sector now. And this many areas are covered under organic farming. This many farmers are into organic farming already, and they have created a farmers group called the FPO, and which they have to register as FPC if they want to do marketing or business. So Department of Agriculture has already done this third-party certification also, and with this third-party certification, you can go for marketing your produce as organic. Then in the second phase also, they already started, and this will end in 2021. And as I said, marketing is going on with various organizations by the department. And horticulture, as I said, is also another department which is also implementing MOVCD, but that's 30%. 70% is implemented by agriculture and 30% is implemented by horticulture department. And these are the areas that they are concentrating, the districts and the crops that they are concentrating as of now. This was what I was supposed to emphasize. There are a lot, besides this Agri and Horti, which is doing this on MOVCD, there's so many other organizations, so many other departments which are also implementing organic projects. And so here, Agri and Allied, besides agriculture and horticulture, there are land resource, there are veterinary, there are soil conservation, there are so many departments which are also taking up organic projects. And then other research institutes and universities like ICR, our Nagaland University, SASAR, then even this other organization like Central Institute of Horticulture, where I worked earlier, we also had projects on organic farming. Then there are also DBD, who also implemented big organic projects in the whole of Northeast. Then NHB, National Horticulture Board, also implement. NEC also implement Northeast Council. They also had a big project in Nagaland, especially in Molbong, which we have developed BioVillage. So I was a part of that team where we implemented a project on organic farming. So, and then NABARD is also there, NERAMEC, NETFI. Now NETFI is the one who's taking up this organic marketing in Molbong village, and tomorrow we're going to have the kind of inauguration of this marketing development, because already all areas certified. So now we are planning to market, and NETFI is the one who's implementing that project in Molbong village. So, and then besides this, there are a lot of NGOs who are also involved in organic farming sector, and then private sectors. So various organizations are implementing organic farming schemes, projects, and programs in the state, in our small state. So coming to the challenges, now we know that we have huge potential, we have resources, we have everything going on, we have a lot of schemes, we have a lot of program happening, and a lot of organization interested in doing projects in our state. But we have problems. Some of the problems we have, I wouldn't say problems, it's a challenge. We have some challenges, like many departments are involved, but there's a lack of synergy and coordination and convergence of the program. And I think that's the reason why APC is taking an initiative in order to kind of converge and synergize various programs, because as I said, so many people are implementing the project. And this is one thing that, because of this reason, the impact is not as we desire. Because when we think about states like Sikkim, the impact is so huge. But in Nagaland, with all these schemes also, our impact is not so much visible as it should be. And I think that's one of the biggest challenge, and I hope that in days to come, this is going to be worked upon. And today also we have this meeting on the drafting of the policies. So we hope that this will be one of the important discussion, and we'll be able to bring out some kind of synergy and convergence of the program. There is a lot of overlapping and gaps in the implementation of the program, and there also the coordination, close coordination among all these organizations is required. And there are a lot of requirements, a lot of needs is there for a collaborative effort in research, and other development and extension activities. So this is one major challenge. And besides that, there are so many other things to be taken into consideration in the policy. But as I say, the policy was announced, the first policy came, the drafting came in 2004, but later on in 2014, again, another announcement, another notification was given, but it really didn't get implemented. And now the government has really taken seriously, and they are having rounds and rounds of meeting in order to bring the organic policies in place. And today they're going to have this meeting again. So hopefully all these various points will also find its place in the organic policies. Certification is another issue in our organic project implementation, because as long as we are with the farmers, the certification process continues. Because certification process is also involve cost, and then there are a lot of process that is required, a lot of documentation has to be done and all that, which the farmers sometimes become very difficult for them to do. So a lot of hand holding is required. So as long as we have the project of 5 years or 3 years, then they continue doing it. But the moment we leave them, then it just, they just forget it. They don't renew it also. So I think some kind of hand holding, even after the project is taken out, is needed. And I think that's how we need to do a lot of policy, implementation in this area as well. Research and documentation. A lot of a lot of scientists are not so keen to work in the organic sector, and even people like me, who is also working in the university, very less research is being done in the organic sector. And when we try to find some research articles and all that, also it become a little scanty in our region. And I think there's a need to encourage the faculties to do research. And I think the state government has to also take initiative in order to promote or encourage the faculties to do more research, so that we'll bring out relevant POPs, package of practices, based on the location. So I think that's another area of concern, and we need to work on it. Transfer of technology. There are a lot of, yes, extension services in the state, but I think there are a lot of gaps. And I think that it's very visible when we go to the farmer and then we want to talk to them regarding all this aspect. We find a lot of gap. Many of the organic farmers still don't understand what is organic farming in true sense. So I think a lot of hard work is still required in extension services. A lot of gaps have to be filled up. The missing links has to be taken care of in this technology transfer, because good technologies must have developed, but to the farmers, if it is not going, the real users are not using, it's of no meaning. Then organic inputs is another big area, because organic inputs, organic farming depends a lot on the organic inputs, and where we are still short of supply, though the agriculture department is having one setup in the Mizipima, where they're also producing the biofertilizers and bioagents for the farmers, but it's not sufficient to cover the areas that we have. So I think still needed. And awareness and capacity building is definitely still required, as I said, because a lot of officers who are also involved in organic projects still need a lot of things to be learned. And also the farmers who are implementing organic projects, also still a lot of gap is there. So I think we still need a lot of awareness and capacity building. Infrastructure, there are a lot of infrastructure already available, but I think we need to upgrade it, strengthen it. And I think the biggest problem that we have is the management of this infrastructure. And that's why many of the infrastructures are lying without utilization. I think that is required to be done. Market linkage. This is one of the important sector in the organic, because when we talk about certification, then it definitely needs to be marketed. Otherwise, to have it within ourselves, there's another system called PGS, which we can do it by trusting one another, and then we can have this certification among ourselves, which we can use for local domestic consumption. But when we are talking about third-party certification, then we need to market it. So for that matter, I think market linkage is very, very important, and many sectors are trying their best. And as I said, we also, from our side, also we are trying, along with NETP and NERAMEC and the state government, agriculture department has a wing for organic farming, marketing. So all of us are trying together, but still a long way to go. So a way forward. To my understanding, I always have been emphasizing on this, that we need to have an organic mission. There's some kind of misunderstanding, but then I believe if we have an organic mission, I think then it will work out better. Because why? Because then we will be able to make a bigger impact. And you know what, the government of India, the Prime Minister of India had been thinking about that Northeast should be an organic hub. I think this can only become a reality when we bring all this together, converge and synergize all these programs and work under one umbrella called the Organic Mission. Then only I think it works out better. So I had just proposed this organogram where a seven tier, where we have a state level, district level, and a village level, where there'll be a mission director in the rank of commissioner secretary, and then team is drawn four different teams, and then they can work in different sectors and work along with the private sector, work along with the other organization and various organizations together. Only they'll be able to work together, and then at district level with the farmer producers organization, and of course at the village level with the farmers FIGs and all that. So if they work together, then I think it will make things reality. So under mission director, these are the four group of people. If they can work, then they can work on different sectors like production, technology, research, and then one group can work on capacity building, and this can closely work with existing ATMA, which is doing already a lot of capacity building in the state. And then the third is can focus only on marketing, branding, and certification. And the fourth team is can do on the coordination, evaluation, and monitoring. Evaluation is so important because evaluation is not taking place. We implement the project, but we don't evaluate them. We don't monitor. Then we don't know whether it is successful or not. We simply it's on paper that it's already done. I think this is the need of the hour. So then I think if we have this mission, then we will expect that we will be able to really, the dream of having an organic hub is possible. Now, I just want to say a few things because there are youth here, and we have started a very new organization called Nagaland Organic Connect. It is a group of young people, along with us seniors, who is kind of mentoring them. So we had earlier attended this BioFact. I took a group of young people to the BioFact Delhi, and there their eyes were open. They were so enthusiastic about this organic farming. They were already into some kind of organic farming, but they were not very aware. So when they went to this Delhi BioFact, then they become really aware. And after they come back, then we decided to form an organization called Nagaland Organic Connect. And these are the members. We have an IS who is retired. Everyone knows Sir Anand Tunshi, who is also a patron of this. And then Sir Liba, who is a student leader and now become the politician. Then we have Dr. John, who's a medical by profession, but now into organic farming. And so we have a team, and all these young people, all highly qualified from high-profile people and doing organic farming. So all these people together, we have formed this Nagaland Organic Connect, and we are, we are registering as a society, and we are willing to take up, we are willing to work with all the stakeholders that I've mentioned, and together we hope that we'll be able to bring the much-needed change in the state. And the activities that we have done. So we have just formed in November 26 last year, after we came back from BioFact. But the huge activities that we have done, we have already had awareness and the workshop, the launching program in the month of January, where the IFOM Vice President Jennifer, who happened to be my friend, she came over, and with the youth leader, that Lee Feng also who came, and then they had a lot of awareness campaign, and then they are coming back in November for the youth to have a youth forum, and there we're going to have a rigorous selection of few youth people who are going to be trained as organic leaders of tomorrow. So in November, we're looking forward to their presence. People from China, Korea, and India leaders are coming to this program. And then we already facilitate our the elders to go to BioFact Germany, and this time they came back from February, and they are also very enthusiastic about implementing various projects in the state. And now we are through this IFOM, we are sponsoring. They are sponsoring our youth. 2 youths are going to Taiwan for a special training for them to become organic leaders tomorrow, and another youth is being sponsored to go to Korea in the month of April. So this is what we are trying to let our youth be, the biggest asset for the movement of organic in our state. And so that's how we are doing. This is a young boy who got an award through us, through our facilitation. He is already into branding the green tea, and he's already exporting to other countries. So he is one person, and this is the one that we had the program. I just had a photograph. Sorry, just in hurry. Yeah, this is the program that we had recently where Jennifer and Liping came, and then this is the one that our people had gone to meet the IFOM leaders, and then also to Rapunzel, which is one of the biggest organic company in Europe. And then they also went to FIBL, as I was saying, one of the renowned institute. They also had a meeting with Soil and More, and then FEDA advisor and the fair trade. So this is how the NOK, in short, we call ourselves. And why I mention this is because the youth are here, and we want to let our youth take forward our organic movement. And in conclusion, I just want to say that, yeah, there are a lot of challenges, but I think if we have a proper strategy, then we can definitely work on it and make this Nagaland a true hub for the organic sector. Thank you so much.
Good session, and Dr. Sema said that if anyone has questions, you can contact her through our email. She had to leave for another engagement. So our next presenter is Dr. Paul M. Porter. I'm going to read what he wrote up about his work. As a cropping system agronomist, I have researched crop rotations, alternative cropping systems, rise and cover crop, and agronomic issues related to food systems, often from an agroecological perspective. Teach several courses annually, including World Food Problems, Agroecosystem Analysis Summer Field Course, Agroecosystems of the World, and Strategies for Agricultural Production and Management. Previously, I taught 2 innovative adventure learning courses, Food and Agriculture from Cairo to Cape Town at 10 miles per hour, and Food and Agriculture from Buenos Aires to Lima at 10 miles per hour, which was bicycling through Africa and South America, looking at cropping systems there. So with that, I invite Dr. Porter to come up to give his presentation.
So thank you very much, Dean. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you all today. So here's my contact information. I hope this PowerPoint will be available to you. I'm going to leave it with the organizers of this event. And in this PowerPoint, you'll find some URL linkages that you might find useful. Also in the paper that's going to accompany this symposium, you'll find the same URLs and additional ones. So please look at that if you find this interesting. I happen to be on the PhD committee of Dr. Sama Ao, and that was a great privilege for me a couple of years ago to serve in that capacity. So I want to just acknowledge having worked with Sama. So this is what we left Minnesota a couple of weeks ago, not a couple of weeks ago, a few days ago. We came to a very different world. We left a white world, and now we're in a pretty green world. You might think it's dry, but we had a lot of snow in February. We had 40 inches of snow. It's about this much snow just in the month of February, right? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine going out on water, out on a lake, shoveling off the snow, drilling a hole in the ice and fishing? That's what they do in Minnesota in the wintertime. So, but that's not what I'm here to talk to you about. I better get on with my talk. This slide shows some of what I'm going to deal with. I'm going to tell you the goals and objectives of the talk. I'm going to talk about agroecosystems, agroecology, agroecosystem properties. I'll define those terms briefly. I'll talk about the importance of defining the goal and the outcome of the analysis, defining the scale and the boundaries of the analysis. I'll give you a template for analyzing an agroecosystem, and then I'll end with 2 examples of agroecosystem analysis done right here in Nagaland. But I've never been here before, and so I guess I should back up and acknowledge my co-authors, Dr. Sama Ao, as well as Dr. Mary Brockie. Mary would have loved to have been here today. Perhaps in the future she will be here. She's a co-instructor with myself in a class called Agroecosystems of the World. And I'm going to leave time for questions and answers. I've got a lot of slides. I'm not going to read everything on the slides. I'm going to roll through some of them. But again, the presentation will be here. You can read it in more detail as we go on. So the goal really of this presentation and the accompanying paper is to provide a template. How do you begin to do an agroecosystem analysis? I'll provide the two local examples and some websites and URLs associated with it. Books, entire books have been written about agroecosystems. And I'm going to present just a short talk about how to do an agroecosystem analysis. But look at the titles of these different books. The one on the bottom, Agroecosystems in Southern India, might be of interest to some of you. It's local. Lots and lots has been written about this topic. I think what you'll find is that it's important to identify the terms that we use. And so there's some definitions here, what an ecosystem is and what an agroecosystem is. I think of an agroecosystem as a natural ecosystem that has been converted in some way, shape, or form by man for man's interest related to food, fuel, feed, or fiber. So there's a goal that man has, mankind, and that's to produce products from the landscape related to agriculture. And hence you change a natural ecosystem into an agroecosystem. So there's some definitions there. So an agroecosystem involves human agricultural activity on the landscape. Simple as that. Agroecology is the study of the ecological processes applied to agricultural production systems. And there's a definition there of ecological processes and some examples at the bottom. Probably who I consider the father of agroecosystem properties and agroecosystem analysis is a fellow from the UK by the name of Sir Gordon Conway. He's actually been knighted and he's well respected. He's still alive today. He's probably in his 80s. He wrote many years ago about the 4 properties of an agroecosystem that are quite important. Productivity, we want to produce something on that agroecosystem. We want to do it in a sustainable manner, meaning that it can happen out into the future. We want it to be resilient to shock. So if there's an event that causes a decline in the productivity, it can rebound. That could be considered sustainability. And another important factor about agroecosystems is it'd be nice to have it be equitable. And you can get more definitions of those things in other places. Here's the blood and guts of my presentation. It's a template. It's 15 points. The order of these points are not important. Don't try to read it real closely at the moment because I'm going to blow it up and talk about it in more detail. But there's certain things you're going to want to do in your analysis to make it a fairly robust analysis. So now I'm going to break out the first 5 points. Put a name on the analysis, put a date on the analysis so that you know when it was done and how in the future somebody can read about it and know what kind of the title is, the date when it was done. Be sure to define the goal of the analysis. Do that ahead of the analysis. Why are you doing the analysis? For what purpose? And I'll say in the 2 examples that I'm using, I wanted to better understand Nagaland agriculture, and I wanted to understand it both on a growth scale, on a large scale, and on a specific scale at the farm level. And so, so we'll talk about that more in detail. Be sure to identify who's conducting the analysis and their perceived biases. My bias, if I do an analysis, I'm an agronomist. I study crop production and the soils that allow crop production. Tend to be big scale agriculture, corn, soybeans, rice, wheat, those sorts of crops, as opposed to a horticulturalist who would study vegetables and fruit production. So that's my bias. That's where I'm coming from. If you were in livestock or in agroforestry, you would have another bias and acknowledge that up front in your analysis. key important thing in doing an agroecosystem analysis is to define your boundaries. What scale are you talking about? And that's important because then it's not nebulous. You know what the inflows and outflows are from those boundary areas. And you can do this by defining the longitude, the latitude, talk about the elevation range, talk about the legal description of the land, and get an idea of the area of that agroecosystem that you're analyzing. There's no right or wrong. It can be as small as a field, it can be as large as a state, even a country. So once you do that, try to determine what are the biomes or the ecoregions that were the original ecosystem for that particular landscape. And I'll show you some example of that in a minute. Who owns the land historically, who owns it presently, and perhaps out into the future, who will own the landscape is important. Number 7, what is the governance on that particular piece of land? In what state is it? In the United States, we talk about township, region, county, state, national. You can also define it in terms of the watershed. Where does the water flow in that particular designated boundary area that you're analyzing? Important to know. Then if you can find soils information, and I'll show you a URL where you can find that in a minute, look at that soil information. It tells you a lot about what you can grow on that particular landscape. You want to know information about soil texture, soil fertilities, other soil properties, perhaps soil series if you have it, the pH, the CEC, so these more technical terms. And from that, you can get an idea of the soil productivity. I don't have texture up here. That's a really important soil parameter. And how has the soil fertility changed over time? Is it increasing? Is it decreasing? Try to determine that sort of information. Another aspect that's very critical when you do an analysis would be to look at the climate. What is the climate like in that particular area that you're talking about? Temperatures, precipitation, hugely important. If you have a cold winter, do you get snow? That's important. Also, for some, it's important to know the human component. Are there villages in that designated agroecosystem? How does that village interact with the agroecosystem? Look at the present past populations. Is it changing? Is it increasing, decreasing? What are the demographics? Are people primarily young, under 15, or is it an aging population? Present some of that information. Ethnicity would be important. We talked a little about population density. We're getting through this template, right, that I'm talking about. You want to know, what is the primary function? Why, and this is part of your goal, why are humans modifying that environment? What are they trying to do? Primary function, is it crops? Is it livestock? Is it agroforestry? Is it a combination of all three? And from an agronomist's perspective, I like to think of a crop calendar. What happens each month of the year? And that it better defines in that agroecosystem if you say, okay, when's planting, when's harvest, when's land preparation, etc. Secondary agroecosystem functions, I talk about ecosystem services. Are they being improved by the presence of man on the landscape? Are they being compromised by the presence of man on the landscape? Try to get this information if you can. Look around that agroecosystem. What's the built infrastructure? Is there good transportation in it, in that agroecosystem and to that agroecosystem? Is there good telecommunications? Is there electricity? Is there water available? What are the needs from the built infrastructure perspective? Another important aspect of any agroecosystem is the social infrastructure, especially if your boundaries are fairly big. Are there schools? Are there villages? What's the religious community like? What language or languages are spoken These are all important aspects of any environment or any agroecosystem. And finally, you probably want to summarize your experience with an agroecosystem. And if you're doing it for a purpose, the analysis for a purpose, what are the next steps? Okay, so walk you through those fairly quickly. A few more slides. There's some URLs up here. I use Google Map a fair bit. You need to know your latitude and longitude in Google Map. You can get that information. So go to these websites. If you need to convert your latitude and longitude from a decimal system to a minute second, degrees, minutes, seconds, here's another website you can do that conversion on. Once you know your latitude and longitude, or you pick a site in Google Maps, it'll tell you your latitude and longitude. That particular site is where we're going. It's so many degrees north, so many degrees east. And in Google Maps, you can actually get topography maps. And so just turn on the terrain in the search function of Google Maps. It's on the left-hand side. And I'll show you examples of this. Boundaries and locations. I just have for those of you who might use Apple Computer, the way of getting a screenshot is to use Grab. So you can grab a certain portion of what you see on your screen and put it into a PowerPoint like this. And this tells you how to do that if you want to give a presentation about your agroecosystem. And then later I'll show you some of these images. Ecoregion, you can find out more about your ecoregion anywhere in the world by going to this site on number 5. They'll ask you to sign up. You can sign up for free, and you can get information. So towards the bottom of the screen, I guess if you point to it, you can see that the ecoregion name that we're going to is the Mizoram Manipur Action Rainforest. The biogeographical realm is the Indo-Malay, and the biome is tropical and subtropical moist broadleaf forest. All this has definitions at this website, and you can get more information about your particular agroecosystem by going to this website related to biomes in your natural ecosystem. Soils information can be found worldwide on Soil Grid. So you go to Soil Grid, put in your longitude, latitude, and it'll give you the best information that it has related to your soils. It's not going to be as precise as what Dr. Yu is going to talk about later. You'll find that in this particular area, we don't necessarily have real precise information, but it's a good guess, it's a good estimate of what we have. So you can find that for any place in the world, any agroregion in the world, pretty much. Climate information, there's a place called climatedata.org. Very, very useful for information. I'll show you that. So the climate data nearest our farm was Kohima, which is real close to here, and our farm is real close to here. So other things that you're looking for, population governance, et cetera, you might have to Google to find it. Quickly, I'm going to talk about 2 different agroecosystems analysis. One is going to be of all of Nagaland, and it was actually a chapter in the book that Dr. Sama Ao published in 2016. So all of Nagaland is going to be considered an agroecoregion. Then I'm going to zoom in right to a specific farm, the T and K, how do I pronounce that? Farm, and we'll see where that is in a second. So this is the title of the book chapter and the actual book itself. We saw these images earlier in the symposium. So it's the book on the left, on the right, chapter 4 in the book, is a very good agroecosystem analysis done by Dr. Ao. And I'll start out by showing this. Here's the equator, here's Nagaland. Nagaland's about 25 degrees north. You pick on it, and this happens to be a Google search. We're from Minnesota. Minnesota is, where's Minnesota? Well, Minnesota is up here. We're 45 degrees north. It's cold, 45 degrees north of the winter. So you're 25 degrees north here, very different agroecosystems in those two areas. So zooming in a little closer, again, the links are on these maps. You can find these maps at these links. We'll find out we're in Nagaland. So Sama's paper is all an analysis of this whole region. And that's what we're touching on first. Then the second one is going to be down here, Kohima, listed there. We can look at this map of Nagaland. It shows the rivers. Surprisingly to me, the rivers run north, primarily in this country. And then the water hits that bigger river and it goes west, and then it ends up in the Bay of Bengal. So this is informative to know where the water flows in your agroecosystem. There's Nagaland, the outline. This is using Data Basin, which is one of the URLs that I present in the paper. And so now these are photos that were in Sama's paper, and it talks about the different sorts of cultivation, the June cultivation, the wet rice cultivation, the June cycle, very detailed, very nice paper, outlining the crop calendar, two different types of growing seasons, the Kharif and the Rabi. We heard yesterday that the Kharif area, at least I'm not sure what state that was in, whether that was here or in Mizoram, is increasing, but Rabi has stayed flat. And so why has the summer production acreage increased, but the winter production has stayed flat? That would be an interesting question. Different crops grown in the different cropping seasons. We can look at a crop calendar on the y-axis. We see labor hours. When are people needed in the field? What months of the year? This is good information if you to define your agroecosystem. Okay, now I'm going to jump to a different agroecosystem, different boundaries. It's going to be this particular farm, and actually it's going to be just this area within this farm, because that red area is owned by one farm family. And so it's going to be irrigated rice, paddy, and you can see there's a couple sheds there that are included in the farm. One of those sheds is a resting shed. Another one is for livestock. This is another angle. You see that the same two sheds. There's water flowing into this farm, and we're looking north. So the water is going that direction, up the slide, right? And this again is the same outline of the agroecosystem. We're defining that as the boundary. It's that family spot. Okay. Now I came from Dinapur yesterday, and we came 2 days ago. We came driving up, and we went very close. We actually stopped and saw this site on our way here, and it's located where the star is. And so this is in Google Map. This is in the captured with the map view. So you have different options. This is Google Maps in map view. I can just zoom in closer and closer. We see here where the college is, and we can see where the farm is up there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. Again, the college and the farm, and I've actually highlighted where I put the point for this particular farm. It's slightly off from the other coordinates, but within meters. This is in satellite view, so we can see the same images in satellite view, and this is in terrain view. So all in Google Maps, you can see the elevation, and it turns out that this is at 1,200 meters above sea level, the farm is, whereas the college is about 1,600 meters above sea level. The city of Kohima is a little bit lower, about 1,400 meters above sea level. Get all this information from Google Maps. I don't know if that's showing up very well, but our farm is right there. From my angle, I can't see that. Can you see that fairly well? That's the farm. same area, different perspective, right? And the water is flowing up the hill. Different angle of the farm again, but that's the same area. So what's happening on that landscape? Well, before we go there, this is a Google Earth image, slightly different. You can see more of the terrain here, and you can